See, he's on the outside lead. So right through here, just trying to make it difficult a little bit for him. This guy is a total goon. And y'all, whether you're here because you're having some lead departure issues with your own horse, or you're looking to add another tool to your toolbox in case you come across a horse that does have lead departure issues, you're in the right place, guys, because I'm gonna take you through a very practical and straightforward approach to helping a horse with lead departure issues. And this is specifically for horses that are pretty much more whoa than go, all right? And I'll explain more about that here in a minute. But guys, if you like this video and you wanna see more like it, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because that way you can get notified when we put up more videos. And also, if you have a friend that might find some value on this, feel free to share it with them, right? Together we rise. That is my big thing, is that together we rise, and that's why I'm here to share with you guys practical approaches to horsemanship to help you and your horse along your journey. So with that being said, y'all, let's get into today's video. All right, y'all, so I just hopped on this 5-year-old gelding here, and what I'm gonna walk you guys through today is a pretty, what I would consider an unconventional way to help a horse that struggles picking up the correct lead, all right? I'll show you guys a little bit of how I typically go about asking the horse to pick up the correct lead. He's a very more whoa than go, laid back horse, and he's not bothered by picking up the quote unquote incorrect lead. And so I've had to take a different approach at helping him find the right answer, right? Because we will ultimately want him to make the change on his own, not just the lead change, but the mental understanding change of when we're asking him to pick up the correct lead, that he actually does it on his own, and we're not necessarily just forcing it to happen. One of the things that's horrible in the horsemanship world is getting these horses super disconnected, right? I see a lot of times in the English community, they get the horses super stiff and rigid and heavy sometimes. Western world, sometimes they're not really as connected as they should be. Horsemanship world, we get them like wiggle worms. So I've just tried to take pieces from the English community, the Western community, and the horsemanship side of things to try to build a practical approach. Like, that's my goal, so that he can find some balance in this, right? He's figuring out, how can I use my body like a very efficient machine, right? Because it's a system. His body's a system, right? His mind's not a machine, but his body is a machine. His body is a system. And so I'm trying to give him the time to kind of work his kinks out, because he has to have enough reps to go, oh yeah, this is how I can use myself. And it's way easier because he's able to find, how do I use myself efficiently in this athletic maneuver where I can drive from behind, lift my core, engage my core, lift my back, reach with my front end without being heavy on my front end, and stay soft and supple through my head and my neck. So what I try to do with him is keep this as easy for him as possible, right? Which is allow him to make those changes. And so without, and this is the big key, without just exhausting them to death, right? Because this horse, I could set him up and physically get him there, but if his mind is thinking away from me, his mind's gonna affect how his feet go. And so I'm trying to say, hey, how can I have a productive session with this horse where this horse starts to realize, this is what I'm looking for. We're trying to get together, and there's that old Ray Hunt saying, like, first you go with them, then they go with you, then you go together. Well, there's a lot of instances where this horse knows how to go with me. And I tried the whole, hey, horse, come with me, leg yield, set your body up, do all these things, but he still wasn't quite figuring it out. So I adjust, and it's not really even a step back, but it's a step back to keep going forward, which is I went back to, well, let's just go with him. Right? Let's just let him make the mistake, because he doesn't know it's a mistake. It's a mistake in our world. And let's let him make the mistake, and then make him being on that right lead difficult, because we're trying to go to the left. I'm going to pick my place in the arena as well. And strategically, you got to be going forward. Right? So I don't want to have to kick him into the lope. That's not the case. Like, he should be on cruise control. Then I'm going to pick my place. I'm going to leg yield out just a little bit, right through there. See, he's on the outside lead. So right through here, watch, I'll let him cruise. He'll see how he's going to take me outside, turn back to the inside. I'm going to push him off my outside leg. Okay, he's going to see how he's going to lean out. There's the lead change up front. I'll just let him work at it here. I'm gonna see if he'll change on his own from behind. Outside rein to provide the boundary, outside leg to provide the boundary, okay? He's kind of having to work at it. I'm not gonna let him stay like this forever. Because actually the first time he's only got the leads kind of, I'm gonna let him break because he thought about it. Inside leg there to try to help him. I use my inside leg to try to help, I'm gonna have to turn him here across the middle a little bit, so it's gonna have to come at you guys. So I'm not working on a lead change, okay? And I'm not trying to make the lope miserable for him, because this horse is really balanced. I'm gonna break him here. This is breaking down a little bit. I'm gonna use my inside leg. They're still gonna go to the outside, so I kind of do appreciate this about this horse. But I'm gonna have to, it's kind of getting tricky with you guys staying in the middle, so I'm gonna kind of come off. I'm gonna change where my circle's at, so that way I can kind of work a little bit here. I'm gonna work him down here, guys, just so that you guys can see. So I'm gonna turn him across here. Let him come across, I'm gonna turn again. But he's still. Part of this is loping this direction, so that way, there we go. Right, so it's just letting him work at it. Like, I get to stay focused a little bit more on what we're doing together, and then giving him the responsibility of really figuring out where to put his feet, okay? And so it doesn't look pretty. You know, some people like want to rip me in the comments. They're like, that looks ridiculous, like you're pulling him across. And I'm like, listen, if he would follow my hands and my legs and he'd get his feet organized, this would be really simple, okay? But once he gets up here and starts loping around, I just go back to what he knows, right? Because he can lope around on a loose rein, and I'm making sure he's following my legs. I still have to work on a little bit of keeping this bend around my inside leg a little bit. But I want this horse to realize that when he gets up into the lope, that was pretty good, okay? I'm gonna say why here, because he broke a little bit there next to the barn, next to his friends. He broke, and I asked him to lope back off, and he picked up the left lead, okay? So on a green horse, that can be a real big chance where that horse would break, and then their mind would fly to the outside. Ooh. Their mind would go to the outside, and then they catch the incorrect lead. We don't want some rinky-dinky little jog. So he's going to pick up the outside probably again. Yep. And so I can recognize it, pick up my inside rein here. Just trying to make it difficult a little bit for him. If he wants to, like, there's moments where he'll go to think about how, there we go. So when I started to recognize, when I put the pressure on him there that time, it was way earlier, he started thinking about, hey, how can I get my feet changed here? Like, what do I have to do to make this a little easier on me? And that's when I backed the pressure off, because I'm like, hey, you're thinking, right? I just need him to think. If he starts thinking, and he's thinking to what I want him to think to, then he didn't do what I wanted him to do. He just started thinking about doing what I wanted him to do. And that's where I wanted to back the pressure off on him, okay? And then we cruise around here, because the loping isn't really the problem, but I do want him to settle. There, it was good. See, I pushed him off my inside leg. That's good to make sure that we start to develop. There, good. So I'm going to put some pieces together here for this horse there. So when he starts to soften through his head and neck, y'all, it's because he's getting between my legs a little bit better. So it's not much that I'm doing. It's not really what I'm doing with my hands as much. He's trying to think about how do I get my feet where I need to put them to make this job pretty easy. But he's not like one of those horses that's just hyper focused. He just wants an easy job in life, which is great when he's a sales horse looking for somebody that wants to just go have some fun. I really wasn't going to get too critical on his downward transition, but I do want to then jog him forward a little bit and just keep that momentum coming from behind. He picked up the correct lead when I had him on that tighter circle, but it was more that his mind started to think that way, right, than it was the size of the circle. So when I go to ask him to lope off here, I'm going to start him on a bigger circle because that's more practical and more sustainable, right? And then if I have to wind him down, then I will. But I try to keep it as simple and as easy for him as possible before we, start to make it more difficult. Why make it more difficult than it has to be out of the gate? Okay. So he's stretching down, but I haven't really even asked him to. So I'm just calling that out so that you guys can be aware of it, right? I've got my hands and my reins short enough that they're short enough that I can support him when I need to, but I'm focused on my legs. Like right through there when he put his head down, it's because I pushed him off my outside leg a little bit. Right there was the inside leg. Your horse will be able to stretch down when they know how to stay between your aids because they know where the boundaries are and they can get more balance, all right? A little bit of a pro tip there for you. Okay. So he's trying to think about it. I'm going to actually break him here because he thought about that pretty good. There we go. Notice I gave him his face. I let him pick his head up a little bit. And I let him put himself in a position where he felt like he could get it, okay? And that part is important because, again, I'm just trying to go with him. And this is the first time in the last 3 rides, and this is the 4th ride, that he's loped off like that on the correct lead, okay? Every other time, we've had to work on I'm just like, I don't want to keep kicking on him. I don't want him to dread my leg, okay? So that's why I just softly kind of like, hey, you need to keep going because you're responsible for going forward. Otherwise, your horse will start to resent your leg, right? Like I'm building boundaries and guidelines in with my legs. I love the Texas wind. And I don't want him to dread because the more leg, it's a trap, my friends. It's a total trap, okay? So if I feel like I'm having to go to too much leg, then just go, right? Just go forward because when the horse just goes, then I can guide him, okay? And I want this to be easy, but if I'm pedaling on him the whole freaking time, it's not easy to him. It's a lot of work and it's kind of annoying. I'm going to set him up. I'm going to soften him here. So I'm going to try to, that's okay. He's kind of reading into what I'm doing here. I'm going to soften him up, then bring him down. Got to help him there. Good job, buddy. I don't like to let my horse just crash into those downwards. And I'm actually going to ask him to try to lope off here again. Okay. Okay. I'm going to help him here. There. Good job. Good. you notice those last 2 times, he really started to think that direction. And that part's that's the most important piece, right? Because I've been working with one of my interns, and I tell her, I was like, hey, we can get the body set up. We can put the body in the exact position we want the body to be. But if the horse isn't thinking about it, they're going to still find other ways to get out of it. Or if they do, even if they just kind of robotically go into it because you physically got them there, they're not reliable, because then they'll only do it if you just mechanically put them there. And that's not what we're after, right? The way we get these horses to have really good in-depth educations and to be reliable is that they understand the skills. They understand what's being asked of them. And it's our job to set it up properly, but it's because they do it because they know what to do and they know how to go about doing it. So first and foremost, y'all, thank you for watching. If you got value out of this video and you want to watch the whole session, the entire start to finish from the time I stepped on this horse to the time I stepped off of him, you can watch the full length session completely free. I'll drop a link down below. You'll be able to watch that in our CAVVY community, where there's an app that you can download. You can watch this video and hundreds of other videos completely free for the next week. And I'd certainly love to go in there because you'll have full access to the discussion board as well. So if you have questions about his session or any of the other videos, or even questions about your horse and the things you're working on at home, you can post those right there on the discussion board, and I'll be there to answer your questions. And if you got value out of this video and you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a comment on something that you liked from this video, something you took away, something that might have been helpful for you. And we look forward to seeing y'all on the next video.